Welcome back to On Texas Football. I'm Jeff Howe, joined by Gerry Hamilton. Answering a question today, is it possible for Texas to finish the 2026 cycle with the number one recruiting class in the country? Can it be back-to-back number one classes for Steve Sarkisian and the Texas Longhorns? We'll get into that on this edition of On Texas Football, which is brought to you by Andy Ludicky and My Perfect Franchise. We'll tell you more about Andy Ludicky here later in the show, but Gerry, I think it's key to look at where last year's class was going into August and where this year's class is going into August. And you made a great point that I didn't think about, and I had to go back and look at some things, but I think you were right when we talked about before the show, and you said this year's class is actually ahead of pace of where Texas was at this point in the 25 cycle.
Despite all the mass craziness of July, right? Earlier July, late June, this class is ranked a few spots ahead of the 25 class at the same time. And what the 25 class did was picked up Jonah Williams a week before the high school season, so late August 24th, 25th, in that area. That was a huge win. And then you ended up having some massive senior season or during season wins with a Dalen McCutcheon flip from FSU, with a Cade Phillips flip back from LSU, with a Grayson Littleton backing out of his Clemson pledge. Then Texas beats out Michigan. Then obviously five-star Justice Terry on signing day. That's an unbelievable close. And Zealous Hicks, reclassed from 27 to 26, was a four-star for anybody, mid to high four-star for anybody. That's an unbelievable close. So if you look back on that 25 class, this class, the 26 class, is ahead of that class. I mean, so that's a great spot for Texas to be. The whole key to this discussion is, will Texas sign 27 or 28 prospects? I believe that's the plan. And that's the number they're going to have to hit, considering they have 3 specialists in the class right now.
No doubt. So, Gerry, let's look at it right now. There are 2 impending decisions right now. It's Devon Benjamin, the safety out of California, Jake Krull, the edge rusher from IMG Academy. As of right now, handicap the chances that both those guys are in the Texas class. One of them is, or neither of them are.
Yeah, I would say it's less than 50-50 on Devon Benjamin, a week or so out. He may announce on August 2nd. It may be the 5th. We'll see. But it's going to be first week in August unless he backs things up. I think right now Oregon's the favorite over Texas and Michigan. And then you have North Carolina and Washington with a hat at the table. Texas is all in. They want Benjamin badly. They're doing everything they can to win the recruitment. Still remains to be seen if they can upset Oregon. Jake Krull's interesting because in mid-June, we heard the same things a lot of people did nationally. Oklahoma was probably the favorite. Ole Miss was second. He's kind of a legacy recruiting that family members attended Florida, but not football playing legacy at Florida. But they're not really in it as of right now. Right now, it's Texas, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and it was really Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and Texas was distant third. As we record this for July 26th on Saturday, I'm not sure Texas isn't the favorite here. And the question I've had is, will Texas make the final push? Well, they want a pass rusher, a pass rush specialist in this class. And that's what Jake Krull is until he fills out his frame. He's a tremendous edge rusher. He's from Orlando, now plays at IMG. I think Texas has a pretty decent shot to win that one out. The question is, when is he going to announce? Is it going to be our first week of August, sometime around the IMG Academy Media Day, right before practice starts, or is he going to wait until October, a few weeks into the season? We shall see. But Texas is in a position to win that recruitment here coming up. So I think there's a chance that one of those 2 for sure ends up in the Texas class, which would vault Texas to number 3 or 4, depending on where you're looking at rankings.
Yeah, getting Devon Benjamin and Jake Krull puts Texas squarely in the top 3.
Yes.
And now if you're looking at it, Gerry, now realistically, you can gun for number 1. So now that though we know what it would do if one or both of those guys, if Texas would just get Krull and doesn't get Benjamin, you're still squarely in the top 5.
Yeah.
Along with holding on to what you got, because we got to mention that, got to reinforce it is a long way to December, and that cuts both ways. Gerry, is it as simple as, hey, Trenton Henderson and a couple of the big-time guys you're after, you flip a couple of those guys, and you're probably sitting there with the number 1 class again?
Yeah, let's talk about rankings first, because I think this matters. Where these final player rankings factor into class rankings heavily.
Yep.
So where's the final class rankings at for a 26 cycle? It's going to be mid-January. So that also plays in the number 1 class. Where do all these guys finish that are committed to Texas in the rankings right now. How many guys are 5 stars? How many are going to be top 100 in the country? How many top 150 guys? Because that depth is what makes a number one class the majority of the time, unless you just load up with 5 stars. So past that, now it gets down to who is Texas really going to try to flip right now? Well, Malachi Lee, 4-star plus for us, offensive tackle, which just means top 75 level prospect in the country, committed to Michigan. Texas will stay on him. There is no doubt they'll stay on him. Trenton Henderson, who I believe is a 5-star edge out of Pensacola. We have him as a 5-star. Some people have him as a 5. Some people has a very high 4-star in the industry. The LSU commitment of Pensacola Catholic, the edge prospect, Texas will stay on him. So then there's Jalen Lott, the receiver, obviously son of James Lott, committed to Oregon at Panther Creek in Frisco. I'm going to keep monitoring that one as well. Then you have Braden Rouse, the linebacker, committed to Tennessee, another top 100 guy in the country. Will Texas maintain contact there? Probably will. There's a number of other guys. Jamion Winfield at D-line committed to USC. If he ever just picks up the phone and calls Texas, it's going to be hard for them to say no. Then there'll be a couple of other guys. Then you have the senior risers, and where this is important, there's 2 other pieces to this. Senior riser, okay, or maybe not even a riser, a guy that Texas liked but hadn't offered that they feel like they could get at the end. Last year it was a Grayson Littleton. When he backed out of his Clemson commit, Texas offered him the same day. When Texas got word of that, they offered him the same day. He was a top 100 player in the country. Then Texas beats out Michigan. So there's going to be a guy or two that Texas hasn't even offered yet that they're going to come in on this season. And then you have the final piece, reclass from 27 to 26. Who's going to be that zealous Hicks? Now, some of the top guys already have. Mark Bowman, the tight end, the 5-star tight end committed to USC. Xavier Crowell, the running back from Jackson, Alabama, already reclassed, guys that Texas wanted but lost out on. Who else is going to reclass from 27 to 26? There will be somebody that catches Texas' eye, or that could be a guy that would go to Texas if they reclass. There's a lot of possibilities out there. The final rankings is going to be key in all of this. Where is a Jermaine Bishop? Where's a Dia Bell? Where's a Richard Wesley?
Yep.
Wesley, a reclass that already went to Texas. So where are those guys in final rankings? John Turntine, who I believe is underrated nationally in our industry. Where do all those guys finish up in the rankings? And then does Texas get to 27 or 28? And they're going to have to flip some massive, big-time national battles to get there this year.
No doubt. Jerry, we'll come back to that in just a second. But right now, I want to thank our sponsor for this edition of On Texas Football. That's Andy Ludicky and My Perfect Franchise. You stuck in the corporate rat race with 2 weeks PTO and no control over the money you can make or your schedule in general? Well, call Andy. He'll take you through a process to help find a business that will fit your skills and financial goals. Franchise ownership isn't for everyone, but if you have a desire to take control of your destiny, call Andy or email him at andy@myperfectfranchise.net. And the phone number is 404-973-9901. Again, that's 404-973-9901. Or email him, andy@myperfectfranchise.net. And again, thank you to Andy Ludicky and My Perfect Franchise for sponsoring this edition of On Texas Football. Jerry, when we start looking at the recruiting rankings, I just want to get your thoughts on some of these guys because you see more of these guys pretty much than anybody in the country. I feel like there's 3 guys, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, but based on where they're ranked right now, it feels like they are safely in that 5-star group of the top 25 to 30 prospects in the country. That's Dia Bell, Tyler Atkinson, Richard Wesley. I don't see that changing much, Jerry, do you?
I don't either, and I think Richard Wesley is going to be a senior year climber. Because he's a reclass from 27 to 26, that naturally gets you bumped down a little bit. But since he reclassed early, he's got his what will be senior year of tape in front of him to bounce back up. And I think he's, after seeing him in person 2 weeks ago, I think that guy's going to have a dynamite senior year now. Tyler Atkinson, obviously playing it on one of the power programs in the country, is going to be nationally televised. I don't see his ranking going down. He's going to continue to be very productive. Dia Bell's done nothing but get bigger, stronger, and better in the last year. Obviously got very lucky with the injury in the playoffs. He returns for his senior season as the Gatorade Player of the Year in Florida. I'm the same. All 3 of those guys. And Wesley's right outside that 5-star for some people, but I think he may play his way into being a consensus 5-star as a senior with a healthy season because I'm just telling you, his training, what he's doing with Trey Lewis that trains a bunch of NFL guys on the West Coast. He was out there training with multiple NFL guys today. Was there. He's really locked in for his senior year. And for these kids, does it matter? It does. I think Richard Wesley, Yes, he wants to go be a great player, but I think it would mean something to him to reclass up after talking to him and end up being a 5-star prospect and earning his way in there.
Jerry, you and I have both been in these rankings discussions. Bobby has too over the years, and it can get pretty heated or pretty colorful with guys standing on the table. I know if you were in one of these rooms, you'd stand on the table for John Turntine. He's right around that top 50 mark, pretty much for everybody right now, give or take a few spots. Jerry, put yourself in one of these rankings meetings. If they say, Jerry, why should John Turntine be ranked higher? What are you selling him on?
Well, first of all, how tall is he? I'd be like, I don't really care. So he's got an 81, 82-inch wingspan. He's got tackle wingspan. He's got tackle arm length. If you take the arm length out of the wingspan part of it and just go arm length, he's still 34-inch arms. He's still at that level, 10-inch hands, right? So he's got all the tackle measurables without the height. But here's the thing. He's an unbelievable athlete. He's got great feet. He's got great dexterity, flexibility, reactive quickness, body quickness, his ability to play in spaces amongst the best players in America on the offensive line, if not the best. And he's physical and he's very intelligent. I mean, I don't know how many boxes there are to check, but I feel like he checks every box except, he's not 6'6". Okay. Well, if you check 10 out of 11 boxes, then you should probably be a 5-star prospect in my estimation. And I'll say this, I'm going to go on, Jeff. Derek Cooper, same way for me. Yeah. Look, he's 6'1", 205, 210 pounds. He runs in the 10-7s. He plays until he cramps. He plays linebacker. He plays running back. He catches the ball in the backfield. He plays special teams. He's on punt block team. The guy's a tremendous football player. And sometimes people look too much into production for running back. Well, how about production as a player and doing what it takes to win? And, by the way, he's going to have a lot of tread left on his tire when he goes into college. And by the way, as a running back, if you turn on the tape and watch, there's speed, there's power, there's vision, there's contact balance, there's the ability to see the cutback lane. Again, if you're just checking boxes, he checks dang near every box, probably 10 or 11 or 11 out of 12 that you would check for a running back. So those are two guys for me. And I'm not one of those that says everybody should be a 5-star. I'm really not. But those two guys for me certainly should be or very much in the conversation.
Jerry, remind me one more time. Where does Derek Cooper play his high school football?
Chaminade Madonna, baby.
Thank you for that. Jerry, he was actually one of the 3 guys I was going to ask you about because there's 3 guys where there are rankings disparities across the board. And I'll just mention the companies because why not? Rivals has Derek Cooper outside of the top 100 in the country. He's number 40 overall for 24/7 Sports and number 7 for ESPN. James Johnson's the opposite. Rivals has him in the top 10 in the country, 24/7 Sports, just inside the top 100. ESPN outside of the top 100. And the one that I don't understand, Jerry, is Jermaine Bishop Jr. 24/7 Sports has him as a 5-star, a top 25 guy in the country. He's number 165 overall in the ESPN 300 and in the Rivals 300. He's 276. Jerry, make it make sense.
I can't. Jermaine Bishop, look, and I'm not taking shots here, but there's no way Jermaine Bishop's outside the top 100 prospects in the country. There's just no way. And no way with Derek Cooper either. Jermaine Bishop is electric with the ball in his hands. And again, I mean, I think some people, he's 5'11", 5'11 and a half, he weighs 158 pounds, whatever. So did Xavier Worthy. So did Devontae Smith. I mean, I can keep going. So did Calvin Ridley. I mean, all these guys don't come out at 185 pounds. Some guys don't even ever get to 185 or 175 even. But he is so explosive on both sides of the ball. If he can see the ball, he makes a play, whether that's at defensive back, whether that's at receiver, whether that's in the return game. Look, I mean, it's almost at some point, sometimes I feel like whether it's portal or high school recruiting, Sark and his staff aren't even getting the benefit of the doubt yet, which other schools have in the past in recruiting, even though Texas has produced 23 draft picks in the last 2 years and gone to the college football playoff semifinals 2 years in a row. You would think they start getting a little benefit of the doubt on their evaluations, but I'm not sure we're to that point yet. Maybe Texas has to get to the national championship or win it for that. But it feels like some schools in the past have got a little bit of that. Okay, well, look, if they like a guy, they've proven that they know what they're doing. They're developing players. They're getting guys drafted. I feel like Texas is quite there yet in our industry.
Jerry, the only other guy along those lines is Vodney Cleveland. He's considered a top 50 prospect by one of the networks. Another one has him just outside of the top 200. Another one doesn't have him in the top 300. Again, I don't know. I would probably put him in the top 100-ish in the country. It doesn't seem, Jerry, like there's 300 football prospects in America better than Vodney Cleveland.
Not if you watched the workout video yesterday his trainer put up. That was impressive. Look, now, I mean, he's a one-time Alabama commitment that's picked Texas over Georgia and Florida. I mean, that's just not a guy that's outside of a top 300 in America, not at defensive line. I mean, when you have your pick, oh, by the way, Bill Belichick and that staff wanted him too. So Miami, he turned down Miami visit. I mean, so when you really dig into him as a prospect, the tape, if you watch the workout videos, then you look at his recruitment, who wanted him. I mean, it's hard to say he's not a top 300 prospect in the country. And that's why I do, Jeff, and I'm glad you brought this up. That's why when we talk about the number 1 or 2 or 3 class, everybody talks about, well, who are you going to get? Who can you add to the class? But a lot of this does come down to where these guys ranked in the final rankings, because this comes down to decimal. This comes down to 0.1, 0.2, 0.009. I mean, it can be that close. And so these final rankings do matter, whether who finishes with the number 1 class.
Yeah, Kosik Paul is another guy I think that has a chance to rise in some of these rankings. And it's not meant to, you just laid it out, Jerry. It's not meant to knock any of the networks that are ranking prospects, but it just goes to show you, hey, there's a lot. If the Texas class is going to rise, there's a lot more that's going to go into it than just flips and winning recruiting battles. So, Jerry, I ask you this: between the opportunity for guys to rise, the opportunity for flips, reclasses, winning uncommitted prospects, where does this Texas class finish? Is it top 5, top 3, or does Sark and company have the number 1 class for the second year in a row?
So I think if Texas makes the playoff again and they continue with this forward momentum, and if they do that, that means there's a lot of Arch Manning in the lose, a lot of Colin Simmons, a lot of Anthony Hill, all Americans again, all conference players, a lot of talk about Texas on a week-to-week basis. More NFL draft prospects for the 26 NFL draft. I think all those things, kind of that momentum keeps going for Texas. I think they will sign the either number 1 or number 2 ranked class in the country. Probably 2 in this cycle, but I could be wrong.
There you have it. Georgia, Alabama, Southern Cal's got a class they've got to hold on to, but that's who Texas is chasing right now.
Hey, Jeff, that's the other part of this we need to talk about real quick before we end this. Mm-hmm. Who has the most runway left in team rankings? So if we look at it this way, so Georgia has 30 commitments, USC has 31, Alabama has 21, Notre Dame has 26, A&M has 26, Texas has 21. So Alabama and Texas, depending on how many guys Alabama is signing, I don't know that, but I know Texas could go to 27 or 28. They have more runway than anybody else does in this class. That Ohio State's at 21. So something to keep in mind there is Notre Dame, A&M probably closer to done with their classes. Georgia and USC really close to being done with their classes. So if Texas adds 6 or 7 high-level recruits to this class, they may finish 1 unless Alabama signs 7 5-stars. Texas could finish 1 because they have the longest runway left.
Jerry, I'll end with this. You told me a long time ago, because when we worked together, 10, 15 years ago, I was looking at class rankings, and you said, look, when you're looking at a recruiting class, you got to answer 2 questions. Did you meet all of your needs? And does this class make you a better football team?
Yeah.
Without question, I think this 2026 class as it stands will make Texas a better football team. It's the meeting all your needs, and I think that's what we're getting at in this video. Maybe that pure pass rush specialist, maybe a safety, another offensive tackle. But the bottom line is you're down to maybe the last 2, 3, 4 needs that you've got for the entire cycle.
Yeah, offensive tackle, another edge prospect, if not 2, a defensive back, and a linebacker. And those are the spots, and maybe a wide receiver, right? So, I mean, that's kind of an additional. So maybe a defensive back that's really good that just wants to change a venue, right? But those are really the 4 positions for Texas. I think tight end's a total wild card because the 2 freshmen are really good. So Nick Townsend and Emery Winston. So I don't think Texas feels like that's a must position anymore after seeing both those guys. So I think you're really down to 4 positions, but I think Texas will take more than 4 guys.
There you go, Jerry. Thank you for the knowledge and expertise as always. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes for producing it. Thank you to Andy Ludick and My Perfect Franchise for sponsoring this edition of On Texas Football. And if you're not an OTFOG, you can become one right now. Just get over to ontexasfootball.com, sign up using the promo code OTFOG. That'll get you 1 year of access for $39.95. Jerry just laid out all the reasons from a recruiting standpoint why you need to get over there and get linked up with ontexasfootball.com. Plus, preseason practice is right around the corner. Basketball season will be here before you know it. There's never been a better time to be a Longhorn fan. Never been a better time to be a part of the On Texas Football community. Again, the promo code is OTFOG for 1 year of access at ontexasfootball.com for $39.95. And make sure you like this video and you're subscribed to the On Texas Football YouTube channel. So that way, whether it's here on the video product or on the site, you're staying abreast of all the latest news, notes, and nuggets happening on the 40 acres. For Matthew, for Jerry, I'm Jeff Howe. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And until next time, hook 'em.